Does my nose look deformed to you? Like, I feel like one nostril is a little different than the other. Let me know. This is the Above It All program. Did I update the number on this one? I don't know what fucking show this is. This is the Above It All show. I know that much. Okay. It's the Above It All showgram. Welcome to the program. Attic experience. I didn't do a show last Friday. If you are a keen observer, that is to say you watched the show before last Friday, you would know that I said I would be taking some time off. And I am. I'm doing that. Well, I did that already. It's in the past now. And you know, like one thing about YouTube that's very interesting, and you know how you ever watch any YouTube videos and like they put like a trailer for the video that you've already clicked on at the start of the video? Is anyone familiar with this? Like, coming up, and it's like, you know, they'll put it in like black and white or something, and it's like, oh my god, and someone like says like the N-word or some shit, and then it cuts to the start of the video. You know, like, I realize that I do the opposite of that. Like, now that I'm doing the show pre-recorded, I really I could, you know, start the videos off with something like that, but I just find it to be so cringy. And I have the exact opposite. Someone clicks on this video without any context, and it's like a 5-minute fucking musical opening, right? And it's me talking about my nostrils. So, you know, I just thought I would say that. I thought I would, you know, I'm not like other YouTubers, you know, just put that out there. But doing a show today. We're gonna be talking about the news. I also want to say I might not be here next week. So just throwing that one out there. But I was thinking about not doing it this week, and I was like, you know what? Actually, I'd rather do a show this week than next week. So I might not be doing another show in next week. We'll see. I won't let you know because I've chosen to not have that kind of anyway. Let's talk about the news. This is a news show. This is why you're here, right? So we're going to be talking about the news today on today's program. So I have a question for anyone out there who wants to listen. I mean, you don't have to listen, but if you want to, I mean, you could. You notice that like weird ass like in the air going on? Has anyone noticed that? Well, let's ask what's going on with the BBC. Why is Canada having so many wildfires this season? Thousands of people in Western Canada are facing the wrath of wildfires this week amid severe drought. Some 6,000 people were told to evacuate Fort McMurray, Alberta, where 90,000 residents were forced to flee during the 2016 wildfires. More than 3,000 others were ordered to leave Fort Nelson, British Columbia, where a fire is burning 2.5 kilometers from the town. Evacuation alerts were also issued in the provinces of Alberta and Manitoba. Smoke from the fires has triggered air quality alerts in Canada and US. So once again, I said this last year. If you were watching my show last year, you would have been prepared for this year, right? If you were watching my show last year, you would have bought filters, smoke filters, right? You would have bought, you know, you would have constructed those Corsi Rosenthal boxes. You know, they don't get everything out of wildfire smoke. Just to be clear, some of this wildfire smoke has like toxic chemicals and stuff. It's really hard to filter out, but again, you get like 90-something percent, 99-point-something percent with HEPA grade filters, right? So you would have your windows, like look at me, I got my air conditioner barricaded. And so you would have that, right? If you were setting yourself up for success by watching my program. Obviously, I know almost nobody has set that up. But now is a better time than ever, really, because it's only going to get worse. I said this last year, and I'm going to say it again. That's right. My opinion has not changed for an entire 365 days. Is that we are never going to have a summer. If you live in anywhere in like the northern half of the United States, you're never going to have a summer where there's not plumes of smoke in the sky. Maybe at least until all the trees are dead. When all the trees are burned to the ground, then maybe we can have that conversation about what that would look like. And if you live in the southern U.S., you're not going to have a summer anymore because it's going to be too fucking hot. You're going to like melt when you fucking step out of the house, right? So basically, what I'm saying is summer is over. Summer as a concept that we've culturally defined it as is gonzo. It's over. There is no more summer. As a concept, it's gone. Okay. Now, obviously, on the calendar year, on the seasonals, summer exists. Can there be good days in the summer where things, there's not plumes of toxic benzene in the sky, or like it's not 119 degrees Fahrenheit? That's right. I use Fahrenheit for you people. So get off my fucking shit. Is that possible? We're going to have singular days randomly where the weather aligns? Yes. But when I was a kid, summer was always like a very consistent thing. Like every single day of summer was basically the same, other than like the days where it rained and so on and so forth. But that kind of like cultural understanding of summer is gone. It disappeared years ago. You may have not even noticed that it disappeared years ago. We're in like year 3, really, of, and you can argue year 5, year 6, but really the last 2 years have been escalating significantly, and last year was a breaking point, where pretty much until all the trees burn to the fucking ground, and who knows how many goddamn years that'll take, we're pretty much just not going to have summer in this country, in the United States anyway. If you live in like the northern half of the country, you're going to get fucking toxic clouds of smoke in the sky. If you live in the southern half, you're going to die instantly as soon as you open your door. You're going to get like a fucking wave of fucking lava coming through your door, like fucking, that one level fucking in Mega Man X5. Anyway, let's keep reading. Where are they? There were several fires burning across Canada as of Tuesday, with a few dangerously close to towns and cities. One is near Fort Nelson, a town in the northeastern corner of British Columbia, about 16 kilometers from Vancouver. Some 3,400 people live in Fort Nelson and Fort Nelson Indian Reserve. They're really calling them Indian Reserve still? I mean, I'm sorry. It's like, what? What year is this? Indian Reserves? I didn't know there were so many Indians in fucking Canada, but hey. Most of them have since been evacuated due to the Parker Lake wildfire that is burning nearby. On Tuesday, hundreds of people are also forced to evacuate near Fort McMurray in northern Alberta due to a fire burning 13 kilometers away from the city. A 2016 wildfire in Fort McMurray destroyed 2,400 homes. Residents in the city itself and other surrounding neighborhoods are on emergency evacuation alert, so on and so forth. How did the fire start? The Parker Lake fire near Fort Nelson began after high winds knocked over a tree and it crashed on a power line and caught fire. You ever notice, by the way, like how fucking crazy it is that, like, just hear me out. I know we all love electricity. Look at me. I'm sitting in my house all day entertaining myself with fucking video games from the 1990s, right? I love electricity. Huge fucking fan of electricity, okay? I'm gonna be honest with you. I love electricity. I love turning the lights on, right? I love playing Spyro the Dragon. I love electricity, okay? So, with all that being said, do we really need to organize how we get electricity in the dumbest ways imaginable? Like, we have power lines that go through fucking forests. Can we come up with a better idea? Is that possible? Like, really? That's the best idea we have? What caused this wildfires? There are two common sources of wildfires in Canada: lightning and human beings. Wow. Paul Kovacs, executive director of Shit for Brains, I don't know, I hate reading all the titles, noted that if a large storm is moving across Canada, the storm can cause lightning in one place that starts a fire, and then in another place that starts a separate fire, and then, of course, the fires can converge, and so on and so forth. Is this an early start to the fire season? For years, Canadian wildfire season started in July or August. Now, if you look at the map of time, see, I saved myself there, also known as a calendar, you'll notice that it's May. And not July or August. But in the past 20 years, the wildfire season has been starting earlier and earlier in the year. This year's wildfire season comes as the country reels from its worst fire season on record in 23, when roughly 18.5 meter hectares of land had burned, an area about the size of North Dakota, on average just 2.5 meter or million? Is it million? I guess it's million hectares typically burn in Canada each year. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I'm not exactly familiar with what a hectare is. Okay, I'm just being honest with you. I know it's a unit of measurement here, but, like, you know, bear with me. About the size of North Dakota, I'm not going to lie to you. I also don't really know how big North Dakota is. I've never been there, but just being honest. I'm just telling you. Last year was an extraordinarily early start. But anyway, so we're fucked. Now, if you live in Canada, I mean, you know, you're extra fucked. You know, shout outs to my Canadian friends out there, but this is a U.S. show. This is a United States showgram here, everybody. And obviously, as a typical American, I'm extremely narcissistic. So I only care about what's coming over the borders. And, you know, we talk about open borders in this country. The illegal aliens. The mass invasion of illegal aliens has entered the country. How about the mass invasion of illegal wildfire smoke that's entering my lungs? Can we have a conversation about that? I know. But anyway, so I highly recommend getting an N95 respirator or higher. I personally use a P100 respirator. If you're going to be going out there and jogging when the plumes come through, I highly recommend wearing a respirator. For those of you out there that also want a fitness tip, wearing a respirator while you're doing certain sorts of exercises actually increases the value and benefit of those exercises. For example, like your lung capacity can be improved if you were to run a mile in, say, an N95 respirator versus running a mile without that. So I'm just throwing that out there. So all the fitness fans out there, you know, the fitness fans, you know, that I've attracted to my fucking show here, all those people, you know, check it out. Just think about it. But yeah, I don't know. That shit's scary. That's scary. I don't know what to tell you. I'm a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little nervous. So, but there you go. Oh man, I don't know what to start with here. I got a lot of heavy subjects here today, but I kind of want to do like a lightning round of like, and by a lightning round, I just mean the one. No, I got two subjects that aren't that important. So, are you familiar with the term shrinkflation? Right, so the thing costs the same or whatever the fuck, but you get less out of it. We have been undergoing shrinkflation in this country for many years. And no, I'm not talking about packs of soda. No, I'm not talking about your chips. I'm talking about the goddamn presidential debates here, motherfucker. Biden and Trump agreed to 2 debates in June and September. Now, first of all, these are cable television network debates, which I find to be a little bit problematic. You know, hopefully it'll still be open to the point where, like, C-SPAN will be able to, you know, stream it publicly. But if you're in this political space here, a lot of people stream debates, and when they're owned by the cable companies, like the Fox News debate, usually those are in the primaries, right? You can often get, like, your stream taken down or strikes and stuff, so I hope that that's not the case with these. But we're only getting 2. What happened to 3? You know, for decades and decades, we had 3 presidential debates in motherfucking, like, September and October. Now we're getting 1 in June? And 1 in September? What? What? One more time? What? I'm very confused by this. Biden and Trump have agreed to 2 debates, one on June 27th and one on September 10 on ABC News. The first onstage clashes between the former president and his successor in more than 3 years. So was it on CNN? Okay, no, I'm fucking stupid and can't read. June 27th is on CNN, September 10th on ABC News. I will say, just for anyone wondering, I know I don't stream that much these days, but I will stream these debates. I will absolutely live broadcast this stuff. 100% chance. Unless I'm like dead or something, or like, you know, or I'm like undergoing surgery, or like, I don't know, maybe I get hit by a fucking car. I don't know, maybe, right? But aside from those kinds of situations, while some of the details are still being hammered out, the agreement of the two debates reached in a series of social media posts Wednesday morning raises the likelihood of the earliest general election debate in modern history, and immediately delivered a jolt of electricity to a campaign that had settled for something of a rut. Okay, just to be clear, we need 4 debates. We only got 2 last year. Donald Trump, America's biggest pussy-ass bitch, was too Oh, I'm too sick to do a debate. Oh, I got COVID. I'm too sick. We need 4 debates this year. Not fucking 2. We're not going to normalize the shrinkflation of political debates here. You know? And you know what? Just to be honest, elephant in the room. Elephant in the room. What happened to my fucking... What is the bottom line here? What about making jobs in America? Okay? You know, 3 debates. When you stream that, you get 3 influxes of cash and viewers. Of people going like, oh, wow, I'd never seen your stream before, but I was like, now we're only getting 2 of those? I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. I know. Not everyone is thinking that, but I am, certainly. Because, as you know, I care about money on this show. That's why I do the things that I do. I do it for money. But, you know, I'm just throwing that out there. Both Trump and Biden believe firmly that if the American people get a look at their opponent on a debate stage, they'll be less likely to vote for them. I mean, both of them are actually right in this instance. I'm not going to lie to you. Both are actually right. Biden opened the exchange on Wednesday by saying he was willing to debate Trump twice before the election. Why twice? Why did Biden start with twice? What the fuck? You were owed 1 extra debate. Really, you need 4. We need 4 fucking debates. What is this twice bullshit? I know that they're old, but if you're telling me they're so fucking old they can't do an extra presidential debate, then maybe we shouldn't be allowing them to run the fucking goddamn country. You know what I mean? Like, fuck. Jesus fucking Christ. So, Biden wants the debates to be done before early voting starts. That makes sense now that we have early voting. More. It goes on to talk about RFK and other shit, but that, of course, doesn't matter. But again, I'm here to tell you, only 2 debates? I mean, come on. Like, I'm just saying. I'm being honest with you, okay? The world is over. This country is a fascist dictatorship that's just waiting to kind of prove itself. And at the very fucking least, we deserve 6 debates between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. If we have had to deal with these motherfuckers for the last, what, fucking 8 years? If we have had to deal with these cocksucking fuckers for 8 fucking years, at the very least, can we get our entertainment value? Like, again, I'm just being honest with you. Like, this is a Hail Mary. What the fuck? We're only getting 4 debates between the worst presidential candidates in the history of humanity? Really? That's it? We deserve 6. We're getting 4. This is fucked. That's what I'm most upset about. Speaking of being upset, check this out. Pelican Island Bridge in Galveston struck by a barge, causing a portion to collapse. What the fuck? A barge crashed into the Pelican Island Bridge in Galveston on Wednesday, causing a section of the bridge, including railroad tracks, to smash down onto the barge. Officials said there were no reports of injuries in the collision that occurred around 10 a.m. However, Galveston County Judge Mark Henry says 2 crew members did go overboard but were recovered. Why is a fucking judge? Why are you quoting a Galveston County judge? Why is that an authority? Like, wouldn't you want to quote a first responder? I don't know. Like, Henry, why are we fucking talking about Henry? Fuck Henry. Okay, I'm moving on. Fuck Henry. Video from the scene shows debris from the bridge and part of the rail track on top of the barge as it rests against the bridge. It wasn't immediately clear what caused the barge to strike the bridge. Pelican Island is north of Galveston and connected to the city by the bridge. which is the only way people can access the island by land. An official said the bridge has been shut down to traffic in both directions. Now, that's kind of fucked. Imagine, now, first of all, why would you want to live on an island, especially something called Pelican Island? That's a whole separate conversation. But imagine you're stuck on an island, and the one and only one, there's only one, fucking way out, is blocked because some fucking dumbass drove a boat into that shit. Now, I know everyone's going to be thinking about that one that happened in Baltimore. And this, by all of my reading here, is not nearly as dangerous as the one that happened in Baltimore. But it's pretty fucking scary that, you know, a bunch of boat drivers are just driving into fucking bridges. I don't know. I mean, hey, maybe this has been a thing that's happened for centuries, and I'm just now aware of it, so now I'm recognizing the patterns, and there's really no, you know, new information here. But I don't know. I think that that's interesting, worth at least covering for, I don't know, 5 seconds or so. And so let's move into something more important, I guess. FBI warns that Pride Month celebrations could be targeted by terrorists. So now I have a hot take on this one. When we're in a pandemic, a Pride celebration that does not require everyone in attendance to be wearing a respirator of N95 grade or higher, I'm sorry, your surgical masks are not welcome here, you fucking moron, okay? That's like wearing a fucking... That's like wearing like thin see-through plastic clothes and then claiming you're not naked. That's what a fucking surgical mask is during the COVID pandemic, okay? Like, come on now. Right? And we know, as a matter of fact, I've documented this stuff on my show. I've read multiple sorts of medical studies on the show, and I've linked to several others, that queer people are at higher risk of developing permanent disability and disease from the coronavirus disease. And so the idea, right, that people would willingly congregate and get each other sick so that they could fucking do these stupid garbage Pride celebrations. I'm sorry, man. Pride celebrations are fucking cringe. They're fucking garbage. I'm just telling you what we're all thinking. You know, hey, maybe I'm not going to lie to you. The first one I went to, all right, it was kind of cool. Wow, you know, like there's gay people everywhere. Wow, that's pretty fun. You know, maybe the first time I went to one, it was all right. But like, I'm sorry, man. The Pride parades, all this stuff, it's corporate owned, corporate sponsored. Just garbage of monkeys going through the motions, right? We're in a pandemic, okay? I'm sorry. I know that's unpopular to say because motherfuckers on this planet are too dumb to live in a literal sense. They're too dumb to live. But we're on year fucking 5 of a fucking pandemic where over 1 million motherfuckers in just this country alone have died, probably closer to 2 million. But again, we stopped counting the numbers, right? If there's no testing, then there's no cases, right? We have dozens of millions of motherfuckers in this country that have long COVID, a permanent, as of this moment, there is no cure for long COVID. So now it's possible in like 10 years from now, I'm gonna say that again. It's possible in like 10 years from now, we will find a cure for long COVID, right? But as of this moment in time, there is no cure for long COVID. So dozens of millions of fuckers have a permanent, as of this moment, disability for the rest of their lives. And again, by all metrics, queer people are at a higher rate of disease. Now, why is that? Is it that if you're gay or like you suck dick or whatever, that like has like a health risk inherent? No, it's not that, right? Now, if you're having a bunch of unprotected sex stuff, you know, that's a whole separate issue. But that's not inherent to being gay. Like, gay people are not inherently more likely to have unprotected sex, right? That's not real. But when you are queer, right, especially if you're transgender, right, and you go into the medical system, you are more likely, disproportionately more likely, to be underdiagnosed, to be improperly cared for, and so on and so forth, right? You're just less likely to be believed about health conditions. Now, again, this is something that black people, I learned this from of people, you know, that are black, you know, feel free to clip that out of context if you want. It was really awkwardly worded, that have told me, like, yeah, you go to the doctor and, you know, doctors don't believe that black people have pain. You know, like, that's a big thing is that the opioid epidemic, or pandemic, if you will, mostly affected white people because black people were underprescribed pain medication because doctors literally did not believe that black people could experience pain at the rate that white people could. It's insane, right? And something very similar to that effect happens with queer people. Basically, if you're any minority, if you're not a white man or a white woman, you're going to be facing discrimination to some degree in the medical system, right? That's just how it is. And we can talk about the varying levels and what categories and so on and so forth, right? But again, the idea that queer people would go out of their way to get infected with a disease that has been documented by hundreds of peer-reviewed studies to act very similarly to AIDS. That's what this is. That's what COVID is. Now, if you cry about, oh, it's too hard to accept that I have HIV equivalent, guess what? I don't care about your fucking feelings. I don't care about your crybaby bullshit. If you have gotten COVID, especially if you've gotten it 5 or 6 times, let's be honest here, your body is undergoing a process that is very similar to getting infected with HIV and that leading to AIDS, right? COVID specifically evolved over the last several years to target the immune system. When you target the immune system, guess what happens? That results in, and now again, we're going to be talking about the terrorism stuff here in a second here. I just got to talk about why I hate pride parades, right? I just hate them on principle. But when COVID attacks your immune system, what happens is you have less symptoms. So COVID is mild. What are symptoms? Symptoms are like sneezing. That is your immune system fighting something inside of your body. So when COVID evolved to be immune response evasive, that's when corporations told you it was mild, bro. You don't got to worry about it. But what that really means is it's like, imagine you're playing Metal Gear Solid or a stealth game, okay, Splinter Cell, choose your pick. And you can choose in some of these games to just like shoot the guys or like run through them and alert them and just hope you hit the next loading zone or whatever. Or you can play the game as intended and sneak around them. Now, COVID has basically learned how to play Metal Gear Solid, okay? They have learned how to sneak around your immune system. So that's why there are people that get COVID and they don't even have any symptoms. That's asymptomatic. And then there are people that get mild symptoms. And that's like when you trigger the alarm and then run to the next loading zone. And then magically when you get on the other side of the door, it resets everything, right? All the gamer fans know what's going on here, right? That's what's going on with COVID. And again, the idea that anybody would risk this for anything, right? I'm sorry, man. It's just fucking stupid. And queer people disproportionately are higher, have a higher rates of medical malpractice against them, have higher rates of disease due to medical negligence and so on and so forth. And we are going to risk this fucking shit? I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I just don't agree. I don't agree with going to conventions during a pandemic. I don't agree with going to pride parades during a pandemic. I don't agree with doing any of this bullshit during a pandemic unless you're wearing N95 respirators or higher. And I honestly, the thing with N95 respirators is that you have to also understand that so many Americans are like literally so fucking stupid. By the way, COVID also has been documented to reduce your IQ from anywhere from 5 to 10 points, right? But Americans are so fucking stupid that most Americans don't know how to even wear a mask, which is why I would recommend a higher grade mask that has like a more secure fit, like, you know, a P100 or something. It's harder to put that on incorrectly versus an N95 because, again, Americans are fucking stupid. Now, with all that being said, I hate pride parades. I hate the corporate sponsorships. I hate the pandemic fucking disease giving. You know, I think we had a term for that back in the day. It was called like, you know, what is it, like bug catching or some shit? Like purposefully infecting people with a disease or getting infected with a disease because it's your sexual fetish. Now, I'm not saying that that's going on here, but I mean, it's very similar, right? Right. So with all that being said, the FBI is now going to tell us that they think that there's going to be people that are going to shoot up pride parades and so on. So again, I'm just like, to be honest with you, the idea of going to a pride parade in 2024, like I would rather, like if I'm going to get COVID, right? If there's anything in this world that I'm willing to sacrifice 10 years off of my lifespan for and get in this form of getting COVID, It would certainly not be a fucking pride parade sponsored by fucking like some vodka company where they sell a bunch of shitty clothes that are made with like a slave labor and made with mostly plastic garbage. I'm sorry, you ever been to a pride parade? I know, I'm negative Nancy here, but there's so much garbage at pride parades, like the fucking things you wear around your neck and all the toys and the bracelets. I'm sorry, man. What the fuck is this garbage? Consumeristic corporate shit. Okay, I'm sorry. But also, now we have to worry about getting shot up at pride parades, right? So again, another reason not to attend these stupid virtue signaling campaigns that are owned and operated and attended by fucking Americans that are dumber than dog shit. I'm sorry, if you're going to a pride parade in 2024 during an airborne pandemic and you're not wearing a respirator or something, you are dumber than dog shit. And again, the sooner you die, the better for everyone else. I'm sorry if that triggers people. I don't give a shit if you're gay. If you're infecting yourself and others with COVID over and over and over again, you are a liability to this population. That's just how I see it, okay? Cancel me if you wish. The FBI and Department of Homeland Security have issued a warning that Pride Month celebrations, which run through June, might be targeted by foreign terrorist organizations or their supporters. Foreign terrorists? I feel like domestic terrorists are more of a concern. What, is Hamas gonna come over and fuck us up during the Pride Parade? Really? I mean, hey, the only way a foreign terrorist organization could impact pride events in the United States in 2024 is if it's like the IDF or something. That's the only foreign terrorist organization I'm actually a little bit afraid of. The release dated 10 of May does not mention any specific threats or intelligence suggesting that any event, celebration, or individual has been targeted, but it said foreign terrorist organizations' efforts to commit or inspire violence against holiday celebrations, including pride celebrations or LGBTQIA+ related venues. Now again, I'm just going to say it here. LGBTQIA+, really stupid fucking thing. I'm sorry. I know some people like it. LGBTQIA+, I'm sorry, it's the dumbest fucking acronym or initialism, I don't even know what the fuck it is, in the history of whatever one it was. Queer is a word that is fine. I know there's a lot of older people that are like, queer is a slur, and people used to call me queer when they kicked my face in. I get it, man, I understand. But like, let's be honest here, man. LGBTQIA+ is just fucking stupid. I'm just being honest with you. Because if you're in the plus, you feel relegated. You feel like you're not in the hierarchy, right? When it was LGBT, then it was LGBTQ, then it was LGBTQI, then it was LGBTQI+, then it was LGBT. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, either you have an all-encompassing term, which is also queer, right? Or we have to have the acronym have every single fucking possible thing under the sun. Otherwise, people are going to feel excluded. So I'm just saying, LGBTQIA+, can we please stop with this garbage? I'm sorry. Has to go. Has to go. Control F, find and replace this shit, okay? Are compounded by the current heightened threat environment in the United States and other Western countries. The release also noted FTOs and their supporters, FTOs, foreign terrorist organizations, had previously promoted anti-queer rhetoric and targeted queer-related events or venues for attacks. The Domestic Security Agency published a list of signs to watch out for, including violent threats made online or in the mail. Potential attackers, it said, might also try to take photos of security-related equipment or access points at events, blah, blah, blah. Basically, what they're saying here is they think that there's going to be some shit going on at Pride events. And again, they said that last year. Was there shit that went on at Pride events? Absolutely. There were a lot of Pride events last year that had shit go down. I don't recall if there was any like mass shootings or anything, like 50 people dying or something at a Pride event. But there were a very large amount that had like cars like try to run through the road and like take people down and stuff like that, right? And again, we're seeing in this country year by year, things are getting more extreme. Things are getting more violent in this country. Conditions are getting worse. Again, we're in year 5 of a pandemic that has been well documented to make people dumber in the same way that snuffing lead paint or lead gasoline made people dumber in the 70s, 80s, and so on or whatever, right? So IQs, they're crashing into the ground. Literacy rates, crashing into the ground, right? And violence, going into the fucking stratosphere. So I'm just telling you, the idea that anyone would go to a fucking Pride event in the year 2024, in year 5 of an airborne pandemic that is very similar to HIV and AIDS pandemic, I'm sorry, man, you gotta be fucking stupid. Now, I know some people would be like, oh, but Pride events are protests. and you support protests. Pride events are not protests. I'm sorry. They're just not. When you sign up with the city to get like a police protection so you can do like a parade down the central city street or something, that's not a protest. I'm sorry. Right? The original Pride Parade was a protest. That's not what we're doing anymore. And again, if you're going to a protest, wear a goddamn respirator. Okay? I'm just throwing that out there. So that's my opinion on this whole thing. I wouldn't be caught dead at a fucking Pride Parade in the year 2024. Like, I would rather get skinned alive and flayed and thrown off the fucking gallows in 15th century fucking England than go to a fucking Pride event in the year 2024. And on top of all the other stuff I mentioned, this shit is just cringe, dude. The dancing, everyone dances like a fucking loser. The music choices are always really garbage. I'm just gonna be honest with you, while I'm talking about it here, I hate queer culture. I really do. Like, the fucking, like, the entertainment shows, like the fashion angles of all that, and that's the shit that's marketed, right? That's the shit that's fronting all this. So the corporate sponsorship, the fashion organizations, and all this fucking, I hate it all. I hate the entertainment industry. I hate all that garbage, and I hate how there's so many queer people that feel like, oh, a corporation sponsored my event, I'm finally accepted and my life is complete and I've been fully assimilated into society. And people, I'm sorry, man. Like, to me, Pride parades, it's so cringe. I just, the idea of being anywhere near them, like, just makes my skin crawl with cringe. Okay, I'm just being honest with you. Now, I also feel like that with most parades, right? Pride parades are not very much of an exception. But for me, I get extra triggered because I just don't understand why queer people would kill themselves for the sake of corporations. I don't get it. But while we're talking about this, while we're talking about masks here, you know, I'm a huge mask fan. I want to share with you, there is a bill being proposed. In fact, let me get just a regular article about this first. All right, and then I'm gonna get, oh, what the fuck is this goddamn paywall bullshit? I know. This is fucked. This is fucked. Okay, we're in. We're in. Everyone, we're in. All right. Check this out. Protest bill to criminalize mask wearing for health reasons passes Senate committee. This is in North Carolina. They're making it in North Carolina. Now, again, Roy Cooper is a Democrat. He is the governor, but he's also one of those Democrats who's basically just like, he's only there just to pretend like there's like they're balancing the government or something. You know, like people vote for they vote for Republicans down ticket and then they vote for a Democrat at the top of the ticket because they're like, now we're gonna force them to work together. And really what that means is the governor just does everything the fucking Republicans pass anyway. So really, I mean, like, let's be honest here. But anyway, since pro-Palestinian protests have increased statewide on college campuses and other government entities, many featuring mass participants, a bill has been reinvigorated in North Carolina after stalling last year. House Bill 237, also known as Unmasking Mobs and Criminals, proposes to strengthen penalties on protesters who commit a crime while wearing a mask during a rally or march. This could be for impeding roadways, for instance, as done in February in Raleigh, when protesters blocked Fayetteville Street. If found guilty, a protester would spend 150 days in jail and receive a fine for willfully impeding traffic during a protest with repeat offenses, blah, blah, blah. Now, you may be wondering, okay, so this only applies to criminals. But, okay, so the bill says, the law that they're trying to pass says, you cannot wear a mask while you're committing a crime. But if you're committing a crime and wearing a mask is another crime, then this is redundant, right? Right? If blocking the street is already a crime, then what, right? So what this is doing here is they're basically trying to make wearing a mask in any context illegal. And they're going to lie about it to get there, obviously, but let's just keep going. HB 237 passed down party lines on Monday in the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing, but not without pushback from some lawmakers and the public. While no one is against the stricter punishments for lawbreaking, about a dozen took issue with another provision in the bill: the overall repeal of the pandemic-era addition that permitted people to wear masks in public due to health reasons. Now, again, we are in year 5. I know a lot of people live in La La Land. They love to pretend that the reality that is existing in this world is actually just a cartoon that they can ignore and shut off the TV. We are in the 5th year of a COVID pandemic that has been documented to lower the IQ points of people that get long COVID by 5 to 10 points. It's been documented to increase cardiac arrests and heart attacks in other form. It's been documented to increase rates of diabetes, liver disease, cancer, and so on and so forth. It's been documented to destroy the immune system, allowing other sorts of more common colds and viruses to do a lot more damage to your body, right? We're in year 5 of this pandemic. It is worse now than it ever has been, and it continually gets worse. But again, now the government's saying, there is no pandemic in Ba Sing Se. What are you talking about? There is no pandemic. There's never been a pandemic. What? What do you believe that viruses exist? The germ theory of disease? Don't you understand that the germ theory of disease was debunked as soon as a corporation fed down your throat, shoved down your throat some propaganda that said masks cause cancer or some shit that fucking Republicans were talking about in 2020? That's when they debunked the germ theory of disease. There's no more germs anymore. Quote, we're not here to prosecute Granny for wearing a mask in the Walmart. In the Walmart? Interesting. Primary bill sponsor Senator Buck Newton said in the chamber, unless she got arrested sticking stakes in her bag. So again, what is the purpose of the crime or the bill? If you are committing a crime, you're already doing something illegal. So why pass a law or try to pass a law that's trying to make wearing a mask this like extra thing? Why? For what reason? So that if Granny is walking down the street on her way to the Walmart, and someone wants to just arrest her for any random reason, let's say she's wearing a shirt that says, I support Gazans children's right not to be bombed into oblivion. Like, she's just wearing a t-shirt. She's not doing a protest, but maybe she's just wearing a shirt that has a rainbow flag on it or whatever, right? Then they can use, oh, well, you're wearing a mask. That makes you a criminal, or that means you're aspiring to become a criminal. They'll arrest them for no reason. Then they'll rip your mask off, send you to a jail cell, get infected with COVID over and over, and then they'll realize they have no case. I mean, they already knew that anyway, right? But you've already gotten infected with COVID, and then they release you back into the fucking population. Just throwing that out there. This idea that the law only applies to people that are already criminals, I'm just like, what the fuck? They're already criminals. That's like saying shit like, you know what we need to do, man? We need to make crime illegal. That's basically what this law is, okay? Rather, he said the bill was designed to disallow protesters a way to conceal their identities if they choose to destroy property or block a right-of-way, stating it is not a healthcare bill. If it's not a healthcare bill, then why does it repeal healthcare exemptions? Newton expressed confidence in law enforcement. Oh, really? North Carolinian law enforcement. I'm sure that they have people's best interest in mind. The district attorney's office or even business clerks and management to use common sense before going after anyone with a mask in public who needs it because they're immunocompromised. Quote, we're just really resetting the law to what it was pre-COVID. That's not what they're doing. Some of us are old enough to remember that we had this legislation in place banning masks to deal with secret societies like the KKK. Now that's important. They're talking about the KKK here. And that's what the purpose of this legislation was then. And that's really what the purpose is now, to deal with organizations and individuals who are intent on breaking the law. They're comparing pro-Palestine demonstrators with the KKK. I'm sorry, man. What? During the COVID-19 pandemic, which is still ongoing, with social distancing and measures enforced to disseminate viral spread. By the way, social distancing was always bullshit. Everyone knows that it's bullshit. The idea that that stopped any spread of any virus, especially inside a contained space, maybe outside, social distancing made more logic, but 6 feet was always stupid. Maybe like 12 feet, maybe 18 feet would be better in an outside environment. But inside, the idea that, remember those little fucking foot like marks that they put on like the fucking grocery stores? Like that shit was fucking stupid. Let's be honest. It was really dumb. It allowed anyone to wear a mask for the purpose of ensuring the physical health and safety of the wearer. But you can't do that anymore. Personal health and safety. Who cares? Get sick like the rest of us. Come on in. The Kool-Aid's fine. Newton said law enforcement rarely arrested people pre-pandemic for wearing health masks and doesn't foresee them doing so today. Really interesting. Saying it was up to their discretion. So they can, but they just chose not to because they're such upstanding individuals. I don't buy that at all. He added he had received flack from some regarding the criminalization of public mask wearers, but stated those concerns are only playing on fears. Senator Sidney Batch, who received cancer treatments during COVID-19, disagreed. I don't think it's stoking the fears of individuals who walk through this world compromised with no fault of their own. My issue is we are removing the specific section that gave people who are immunocompromised or people who are sick and just care about the community, someone walking around with tuberculosis who wants to wear a mask to protect everyone else is no longer able to do that based on this bill. Again, they want to criminalize protecting yourself in a pandemic. If you live in North Carolina, you got to go ASAP. I don't give a shit if your parents are there. I don't give a shit if your rent's really good where it is right now. You got to get the fuck out of that place. I'm just being honest with you. Leave. Run. Right? Get the fuck out. She confirmed this with the staff. The removal of the provision from state statute blah, blah, blah would criminalize people who wear masks in public. Legislative analyst Robert Ryan confirmed as much. Batch also added that Newton's example of the KKK would be moot, considering it keeps the provision, quote, for people in an elect society or organization engaged in ritual, initiation, ceremony, or celebration. Senator Newton, this is a quote, this bill would protect the Ku Klux Klan to wear masks in public, but someone who's immunocompromised like myself cannot wear a mask, Batch reiterated. Quote, I would just say, that's the way the Democrats passed the law in the past, Senator Warren Daniel, Republican, interrupted. So that's, if you want to repeal the Democrat provision, we'll repeal it. You know, when Democrats, before the party switch? Like, what kind, like, again, this is like proof that humans have no free will and no intelligence. These are fucking robots. These are machines. I'm sorry. These are lizard people, man. What the fuck? This is like, how do you even say this shit? Well, the Democrats passed it 80 years ago. What are you gonna do? Go against the Democrats? What the fuck? What the fuck? I got some extra stuff here I want to give you. The meeting... I have a tweet here. I found this tweet that basically gave a link to the General Assembly meeting where this was being debated. And I want to show this real quick here. If you click the link, you'll notice that's just gone. They deleted the video. They deleted the video of them debating whether or not this was legitimate. They deleted the video. Why did they delete the video? Well, you know. Has nothing to do with the fact that they said some really weird shit during that meeting. Like this, for example. I have a clip here from Twitter.com. Shout out to Twitter.com. Here's a clip of the meeting.
So if the Ku Klux Klan gets a permission from a local county commission, they would then be protected to walk down the streets with hoods.
Subdivision 5 doesn't expressly state any particular organization. It just says any person, members of an elect society who get that permission could wear it.
So this bill will protect the Ku Klux Klan to wear masks in public, but someone who's immunocompromised like myself cannot wear a mask.
So again, that's the audio of the debate. And again, why would they remove the video? That's weird. I don't know. That's a little strange. Hey, maybe they just removed it to put it on an archive in a more permanent location that is somehow not traceable whatsoever. But again, like the idea that they're going to start this debate off by saying they're comparing pro-Palestinian protesters with the KKK, but also the KKK gets an exemption. Why? Because they're an elect society. What is an elect society? What is that? So if I start a club, we all play billiards. We love billiards, right? We're the billiard boys, okay? We're playing motherfucking billiards. And our costume happens to include P100 respirators. If we want to go, you know, from fucking bar to bar and play billiards, you know, I would never do this in a pandemic, obviously. We wouldn't be allowed to do that because we're not an elect society. What is an elect society? What the fuck does that even mean? Does that mean you have to, like, okay, so you need to, like, have, like, an LLC or some shit? You need to have, like, some documentation? You need to have, like, based on rituals? What rituals? Like, hey, maybe every time we put the fucking dust on the fucking pool stick, we, like, sing a prayer or some shit to, like, the god of billiards. I don't know. Like, what the fuck? Like, what is this garbage? This is the same shit that they do with abortion laws. You know how in abortion laws, they have shit like exemptions for rape and incest and life of the mother. If the life of the mother is at stake, we got an exemption. We're not terrible people, except those exemptions are so ridiculously, like, legally coded to never actually be allowed to work. And what is the exemption? How, like, what is the legal process? You do the abortion, and then you get sued by the government, and you have to prove that the life of the mother was at stake. How do you prove that? How do you prove that? Oh, well, here's blood scans, and here's an x-ray that showed that there's, like, a hemorrhage or whatever. And what if the prosecutor just says, I think she would have survived. And the jury, again, made up of your average dumb fuck American, yeah, she might have survived. Was her life really at stake? I don't think so. And then you get sent to jail. Now, again, what's the best case scenario? You're in and out of court for, like, that's just becomes a part. If you're a doctor, you're basically also now a lawyer. And you're going to be going in and out of court over and over and over again, just to do your job. And most doctors are not going to want to put up with that. So they're just not going to do abortions, even if the life of the mother is at stake. That's what this fucking shit is. There's a carve out for their fucking beer belly boy ass bitches to go around in hoods when they want to. They can still do that. That's fine. But you can't wear a mask to the Walmart. Otherwise, you'll be accused of committing crimes. Now, again, I need you people to understand there. I know most of the people that watch my show are aware that there's a pandemic going on. I know that people that watch my show are relatively informed on that front. But I need you also to understand that most people are not. And I know that most of you understand. I probably understand that less than most people because I have no social connections to the world other than this internet show that I do, and that everyone around you. This is like I'm telling you life advice. Now, if you want to accept life advice from a 27-year-old high school dropout, you know I'm your girl. Okay, I'm going to give you some life advice. All right. Everyone around you is going to get dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber. And what has a direct correlation with getting dumber is aggression. Right? The dumber you get, the more aggressive you get. There were studies that were done in major cities. When lead was removed from gasoline, they saw that the average IQ over the next 10 to 15 years increased, irrespective of other factors. They found that basically removing lead from the gas so that you weren't breathing in lead if you're walking on the street in a city, also they found that it made you less aggressive. There was a calculation done. They studied like crime at like bars. They studied bar fights in major cities. And after lead was removed from the gasoline, the rate of bar fights went down. Why? Because people were not as dumb and also not as aggressive. Now, am I going to say that everyone who's dumb is immediately aggressive? No, I'm not trying to say that, okay? But what I'm saying is on a population level, when you're talking about populations, when an IQ decrease is happening over time, and again, look at the kids. Look at the kids. This is why I point at kids. Kids right now who cannot read and write in fucking middle school. There are kids all across the country right now who literally cannot read and write in middle school. They cannot read in middle school. They're in fucking 7th grade and they cannot read, okay? That is going to have extreme reverberations throughout society. And if you are not prepared for that reality, then you got to get prepared, okay? Everyone around you is going to get dumber. Just by default. The default is you get dumber, you get more aggressive, and also, guess what? Climate change is coming. What's climate change going to bring? More diseases. Check this out. We're going to get into this in a second. More diseases. Less resources. There's already major droughts going on in several areas in Europe that are causing food shortages. Food shortages. We're going to have a situation where water is going to be extremely hard, purified water to find. Right? So you have a population that's getting dumber and dumber and dumber, more and more and more aggressive, less and less and less literate, and resources are getting more and more and more, scarce. And also the population is still going up. Now, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. It's possible. I'm open to that. If you want to call me a conspiracy theorist, you know what? I'm in. I accept the label of a conspiracy theorist. I love to conspire, okay? Conspiring is what I do best. And I'm telling you all, I don't know, man. I don't think that there's any way out. There's no light at the end of this tunnel. There really isn't. So if you are not preparing for this in some way, and what do I mean by preparing for it? I mean, you need to take active steps to retain what's going on in your brain. Okay? What I mean by that is, when's the last time you read a book? Especially if you've gotten COVID before, okay? To my knowledge, I have never gotten COVID, okay? I also don't leave the house. I leave the house like 3 times a year. Other than like taking a walk. But, and I'm just saying that as like a baseline, okay? If you've gotten COVID many times, you need to read more books. Because the default, if you are getting sick and sick and sick and sicker over and over and over again, unless you actively maintain healthy habits that retain your intelligence. Again, I also want to say, might not even matter at the end anyway, too. Because there was like a 17-year-old that got diagnosed with early onset dementia because of COVID. She got COVID as a teenager. A year later, she had early onset dementia. She didn't know what year it was. Oh, I'm entering high school next year, right? No, you graduated high school last year, bitch. What are you, fucking on crack? No, she's on COVID, right? So, again, this is a huge problem. But if you are going to, if you have any plans, maybe if you're like 70 years old or something, you're watching my show, like shout outs to you, by the way. Maybe, just live your life, just have fun with the end of it all. But me personally, as a 27-year-old who does want to live a long and healthy life, I do want to live a long and healthy life. I'm going to be avoiding all of this shit that's going to make me dumber. And that means I'm avoiding pride parades. That means I'm avoiding conventions. That means I'm avoiding congregating with people that are probably also really fucking stupid in the first place. Let's be honest here. Most people are fucking stupid. Hey, maybe I'm a freak. Maybe I'm the stupid one. It's possible. I'm open to that. If you want to argue with that to me, I accept your challenge. But you need to be actively maintaining the healthy mind. If you think you have a healthy mind right now, if you think you're a knowledgeable person right now, if you think you're a rational thinker right now, you need to do your best to maintain that. Reading is a good way to do it. Fuck it. Do some crossword puzzles, for Christ's sake. Do something every day or as much as you can to be testing, once a week, whatever. Just sit down, do a jigsaw puzzle, whatever, and test your mental fortitude, okay? Because again, in 30 years from now, that shit is going to be an extremely valuable commodity. When we've had multiple generations of kids who then procreate and have more kids who can't read, daddy can't read, granddaddy can't read, and so on and so forth, we are regressing as a society. I need you really to understand that. And the only thing, in my opinion anyway, that you can't hold on to anything physically of value. This pen is not going to matter at all in 30, 40 years. But what will matter is your ability to perceive the world, right? Plan ahead, create strategies to survive. That's what's going to be important. Now, am I telling you the societal collapse is imminent? I'm not sure. You know, I don't think society will collapse like we see in the movies, where it's just like a switch is pressed and like, you know, planes fall from the sky and things blow up, or like there's a nuclear apocalypse. What I do think is more likely is that we're just going to get more, and the quality of life is going to decrease and decrease slowly and slowly and slowly. Life expectancy has been going down year over year over year. IQ rates are going down year over year over year, and we're all just going to get dumber, sicker, and die younger. And again, I don't want any part of that. So sign me up for whatever society will come after this one, because I quit this society. Speaking of which, quote, they need to back off. Farm states push back on Biden's bird flu response. Now, I forgot about this one. Let me load up another one real quick on this one. Okay, so I've been talking about this avian flu, bird flu, H5N1 has been going around. Okay, check this out. Absolutely stunning. Food safety experts amazed as raw milk sales surge amid a budding bird flu crisis. Now I want to read. Oh my fucking god! Fuck you, Fortune. Holy shit. Let me get another article here. NBC. Okay, fuck you. Okay, I'm gonna read this one first. So you may be learning now for the first time. Yeah, there are people out there that they drink raw milk. Now, I mean, I think drinking milk, cow milk in general, I think is mostly disgusting. We can make a separate argument for cheese, okay? You know what? I'm not going to lie to you. I like cheese, okay? So the vegans out there, I'm sorry. That's the one thing that I eat sometimes. I do eat cheese every once in a while. But I've been slowly decreasing my cheese intake over time. I used to eat a lot more cheese. But anyway, but milk is just gross. It tastes gross. It's not healthy for you. Oftentimes it's filled with extra sugars and so on and so forth. But people go out of their way to drink an even grosser version, raw milk. Straight from the udder, no pasteurization. And since H5N1 outbreaks have been happening, the sales have gone up. Sales of raw milk appear to be on the rise despite years of warnings about the health risks of drinking unpasteurized products and an outbreak of bird flu in dairy cows. Now, I don't even understand why raw milk is even possible to buy. I really don't. I really don't even know how it should be illegal to buy raw milk. It really should be. Since March 25, when the bird flu virus was confirmed in U.S. cattle for the first time, weekly sales of raw cow's milk have ticked up 21%. To as much as 65% compared with the same periods a year ago. It's up 65% on a year-to-year of consumption of raw milk. While they have documented and confirmed that raw milk has H5N1 viral particles in it. That runs counter to the advice from the Food and Drug Administration and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which calls raw milk one of the riskiest foods people can consume. Raw milk can be contaminated with harmful germs that make you very sick, the CDC says on its own website. Now, again, the CDC has no credibility whatsoever. But also, again, this is proof that I need to give you all that the germ theory of disease, as far as society is concerned, is debunked. It's no longer mainstream science. If you believe in germs and that germs can negatively impact your health, if you believe that, you are in like the 1 or 2%. You are in an extreme minority of people in this world, because most people live their day-to-day lives as if the germ theory of disease never existed. Okay? So I just want to show that one as a prelude to this. They need to back off. The CDC and the CDC and P is at odds with state officials in the dairy industry over its on-the-ground response to avian flu outbreak spreading among dairy cows, complicating President Joe Biden's efforts to track and contain a virus that has the potential to sicken millions of people. Now, obviously, one, the CDC is not trying here. They're not trying. They're doing that whole thing where they pretend to try so that later on, a year from now, they can say, "What, man? We told you." That's what they did with COVID. They pretended to care. Then a couple years later, when COVID is even worse and worse and worse, they're like, "What? We told you," even though they didn't actually tell anyone anything, right? It's the same shit they're doing again. And And obviously, Joe Biden doesn't give a fuck about any of this. Many farmers don't want federal health officials on their property. Now, think about that one. That one's interesting to me. Where do we get our food and other things? From farmers. Farmers don't want health officials on their property? Now, also, shouldn't that be, like, illegal? like the idea that a food manufacturer is just going to say, oh, health inspector? Nah, we're good. Oh, you're a health inspector. Oh, well, sorry. Look at the sign. And then they point to a sign on the front door, no health inspectors allowed. How is that even possible? How is that even... Oh, because we live in a fake government world where the government is fake. It's not actually a real government in the sense that what is the role of government to organize things on a large scale? They don't actually do that. It's just a fucking libertarian, anarcho-capitalist power fantasy that we are currently living in, where the current government is basically just a military unit that is... The goal is to control people as much as possible and to not have people riot in the streets. And how do they do that? By lying to people and pretending everything is fine. They don't actually exist to stop pandemics. They don't exist to stop traffic accidents. They don't exist to lower disease rates. They don't exist to do anything that would actually be beneficial to society, because the government is basically just a military junta that has been more progressively kind of had their reputation laundered. That's basically what this U.S. government is. Many farmers don't want federal health officials on their property. State agriculture officials worry the federal response is sidelining animal health experts at the Agriculture Department. And also, does some potential federal interventions threaten to hinder state and local health officials rushing to respond to other outbreaks? So what they're saying, so farmers don't want federal health officials on the property, and the state health officials don't want federal health officials on the property because they got this one, bro. Iowa has definitely got this one, bro. Texas, a state known for making decisions based on public health. Don't worry about us, we got it. Oh, you're the health inspector? No, dude, we're extremely healthy. Don't worry about it. Go inspect somewhere else. No. We're the healthiest motherfuckers in the world. You don't need to inspect us. What? No, we got our own health inspector. Yeah, we hired him off of Craigslist. He works in the back room. He's just, he works here every day. He's the health inspector. So we don't need you. What? What the fuck? Quote, it's overreach. They don't need to do that. They need to back off. Now, first of all, what is overreach? I don't know. They don't need to do that. Do what? I don't know. What are they doing and what's overreach? Who knows? Texas Agricultural Commissioner Sid Miller, a former rodeo cow... Texas, the first state where the bird flu virus was detected, has not invited the CDC to conduct epidemiological field studies there. Oh, they haven't invited them. Okay, who cares? Just go in there and do it anyway. You're the fucking federal government, right? We haven't found a dairy farm that is interested in participating, said Lara Anton, a spokesperson for the Texas Department of State Health Services. The resistance of dairy farmers is emblematic of the trust gap between key agriculture players in both red and blue states and the federal health officials. One, the public health experts fear could hamper the nation's ability to head off the virus's threats to humans. Now, again, I've said this before. I'm less concerned with H5N1 having pandemic potential in humans, and I'm more concerned with the disruption to the food supply, that's going to result in other forms of disruption to society. H5N1, as of right now, has about a 56% death rate. If you get H5N1, you have a 56% chance of dying. And what that means is the sooner and quicker you die, and the more likelihood of death, the less likely you're going to be able to infect people. I apologize. My setup here is very precarious, so sometimes shit happens. So, if you are less likely to live long enough to infect others, I do not believe, okay, that has as significant of a potential health risk as the COVID pandemic. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the COVID pandemic has learned to evade the immune system and do long-term damage. When you get long COVID, right, there have been people that have got COVID in 2020 and 2021. They now have long COVID, and a lot of them are starting to die, right? 3-4 years later, they're starting to die of long COVID. A lot of people that get long COVID also kill themselves because they can't move. Their lives are basically over. Imagine you're 21, right? 2 years ago, you're going to fucking college to become like a fucking researcher, or an archaeologist, or a fucking gymnast, or whatever. Do you go to college to learn gymnastics? I don't know. And now you can't do anything because you got COVID. And then you've been bedridden for multiple years. So there's a lot of people in that position. They're just straight up killing themselves, right? So I do not believe at this moment that H5N1 has the potential to be as bad as the COVID-19 pandemic that is currently ongoing, of course. That said, the chances that it destroys the food supply to some, degree, where, let's say, like, entire farms, all the cattle are going to drop dead, and then they just can't produce stuff, and then what's that going to have on a ripple effect to, okay, well, they use, like, cow manure for fertilizer, and then they can't use that anymore, so they have to switch to something else that's, like, so there's a lot of, like, knock-on effects from that sort of situation here that I'm more worried about. But again, this idea that farmers don't want health inspectors at their facility. What are they hiding, is my question. What are they hiding here? Quote, we've all seen how a virus can spread around the globe before public health has even had a chance to get its shoes on. That's a risk, and one that we have to be mindful of. Yeah, mindful, sure. Are we going to do anything? I don't think so. Anyway, you can read the rest of this, but basically the gist is the federal government is virtue signaling. They're saying, look, we're going to pretend we're doing something. The farmers are like, get off my lawn! And somehow they're not being shut down. Like, I just don't understand. Like, if you had a restaurant, the health inspector shows up, you punch the health inspector in the face and throw them out the window, how the fuck is your restaurant still going to exist the next day? How the fuck are these farms still existing? The federal government, if it actually existed in a way that it's supposed to, right, in the way that they claim that it exists, what they would do is they would seize these farms. If you do not comply with health inspection, guess what? You're no longer a property owner. Sorry, bye-bye. Now again, eminent domain exists, right? The government is able to seize property for any reason that they want. For example, in New York, in the 70s and 80s, they used eminent domain laws to basically steal homes from black residents in, like, black neighborhoods. They seized their homes. And the way they did it is, we saw that there was moss growing on the side of the house. Your house is condemned. Now that it's condemned, we can just steal the house from you, right? And what is it? Well, they pay you, but they're paying for a house that's condemned, so you're not going to get a fair market value. You'll get like 1/10 of what the house is actually worth. They take your house, they bulldoze it so that they can put a highway up. You can't buy another house because you didn't actually sell your house at real market value. You got fucking taken advantage of, and the government basically just stole it and said, here's $10, go buy another house. So if they can do that to build highways in New York City at the expense of black residents, can't they do that here to prevent a pandemic or potential food supply line disruption? Can't they do that? They can. They choose not to. Why? Because, again, the federal government is basically just a military junta that is a lot more elaborate and has done a lot more reputation laundering. That's what it is. That's where we live. That's called the planet Earth in the United States of America. We're fucked. I don't know what to tell you. But I got one more article here that I want to get into before the show is over. So, CNN did a report on the Gazan concentration camps that have been uncovered all across Gaza and the related areas in Israel. You know how Lindsey Graham says Israel. Anyway. Strapped down, blindfolded. Now again, if CNN If this is on CNN, whew, strapped down, blindfolded, held in diapers. Israeli whistleblowers detail abuse of Palestinians in shadowy detention center. Detention center. What is detention? You stay in one place. What is a center? It is a location. It is a direct synonym for concentration camp. Okay? They're synonyms. Detention is a synonym for concentration. Center is a synonym for camp. Just say concentration camp, okay? Rolls off the tongue better. In Israel's Negev desert, an Israeli working at the facility snapped 2 photographs of a scene that he says continues to haunt him. Rows of men in gray tracksuits are seen sitting on paper-thin mattresses ring-fenced by barbed wire. I'm going to get to the pictures here in a second. You've probably already seen them. All appear blindfolded, their heads hanging heavy under the glare of floodlights. A putrid stench filled the air, and the room hummed with the men's murmurs. The Israeli who was at the facility told CNN, "Forbidden from speaking to each other, the detainees mumbled to themselves. Quote, we were told they were not allowed to move. They should sit upright. They're not allowed to talk, not allowed to peek under their blindfold." Now, I've said this before. I've said this since October 7th. Israel is worse in every single metric than Nazi Germany. 100% of the metrics that you can use, Nazi Israel is worse. Now again, Nazi Germany was committing their worst crimes for a long period of time. Israel has been committing slightly less worse crimes for an even longer period of time. So you can make an argument that even though on a yearly basis, pre-October 6th, October 7th, whatever, Israel has been less bad than Nazi Germany, but for a longer period of time. So we can make an argument again that that's actually worse than Nazi Germany. But now we're in the final solution stage of Nazi Israel. And so far, every metric, they are worse than Nazi Germany, 100% across the board. There is not a single area where Nazi Germany is more ruthless and more genocidal than Nazi Israel at this point in time. Guards were instructed to scream "Uskat," shut up in Arabic, and told to pick people out that were problematic and punish them. Now here are one of the images here. When you look at this, and you do not acknowledge that Nazi Israel is worse in every way, shape, and form than Nazi Germany, I'm sorry, man. You're just evil. Now, I don't want to sit here and pretend like I'm a Christian, right, who believes in good and evil. I really don't. I don't believe good and evil exist in an absolute moral sense. But anyone who is defending Israel at this point in time is evil. They are evil. In whatever way you identify with that word, they are evil. If you have an uncle that supports Nazi Israel and you show them this picture and they say it's a good thing, evil. Evil to the core. These are fucked up freaks, and they run our society. Our society is owned and operated by Nazis. By Nazis. Anyone out there that defends Israel in any capacity, the White House just said a couple days ago or yesterday or today, I don't know. I just saw it this morning. The White House just said that there is no genocide in Ba Sing Se. What? Genocide? I don't know what you're talking about. Concentration camps? What? Never seen them. These people are evil. Their career is that they get paid to participate in Nazi war crimes and defend Nazi war crimes. And again, what is the last stage of genocide? To deny that the crimes ever happened. To rewrite history, to deny that the crimes ever even happened in the first place. That's the last stage of genocide, right? And we're seeing that in real time. There's going to come a day and again, I don't even know what could happen to put the brakes on this. I really don't. Like, okay, Iran nukes fucking Israel. Well, that's not going to help the fucking situation. That's going to make it way worse. Iran invades Israel. That's going to make it way worse. Right? So no one is in any position to actually stop this from happening. So assuming this does not stop from happening, in 10 years' time, right, we are going to live in a world where there is no one left alive who was a Palestinian in Gaza, right? Millions of people right now are being systematically murdered, okay? Tens and tens and tens and tens of thousands of people have been already documented dead, right? Hundreds of thousands of people are starving, or they have a disease. Again, the COVID-19 pandemic is still raging. Gaza is the most densely populated place on the planet. In 2021, Israel blocked all vaccines from entering Gaza. Why? Because they wanted Gazans to get sick with COVID so that they would be less likely to fight back and put up a fight. A lot of people in Gaza have a lot of disease, a lot of sickness, right? There's famine. Millions of Gazans, right? There's about 2 million people that lived there, you know, a year ago. Who knows how many people are currently alive there right now, right? And millions of them are going hungry. What happens when you're experiencing a famine? Your body's immune system is less likely to be able to defend you. So let's say you haven't eaten in 3 weeks, and the last thing you ate was like a candy bar you found from one of those MREs. I don't know if I covered this on the show, but the MR. Remember when the fucking the pictures of the fucking parachutes of food or whatever that went into Gaza from the U.S. that a lot of them also landed on people and killed them. So that's pretty fun. They had candy bars in them. Got to keep your blood sugar up. So imagine the last thing you ate was like a fucking Snickers bar 3 weeks ago, and you fall. And let's say you scrape your arm on like a rock, right? Enough that it bleeds a little bit. And then you get an infection. And then you die because there's no hospitals. Because your immune system does not function anymore. It's basically non-existent at this point. So you just die, straight up die from an infection because you scraped your arm. That's happening all across Gaza, okay? I'm telling you, in 10 years from now, assuming nothing happens here to stop this, there's not going to be a single Palestinian left alive unless they got the fuck out of Palestine or Gaza or the West Bank or whatever at some point before October 7th. Because everyone who was in these areas after October 7th has been not allowed to leave. Some people have been able to escape, right? But most, you know, it's pretty much impossible to leave, right? The entirety of Gaza is a concentration camp, right? So, and we're just watching it happen on TV. You turn on the TV every day, millions of people starving to death. Isn't that a little fucking crazy that we live in this world? Let me keep reading. CNN spoke to 3 Israeli whistleblowers who worked at the Sidi Timan desert camp, which holds Palestinians detained during Israel's invasion of Gaza. Detained. I mean, the words that they even... CNN is even doing this article, and yet they're still giving free propaganda to the Nazis here. Detained. What? Kidnapped is a better word. All spoke out at risk of legal repercussion and reprisals from groups supportive of Israel's hardline policies in Gaza. Hardline policies. Not genocide. Not Holocaust. Not final solution. Just hard line. What the fuck is hard line? That sounds like the difficulty in a video game from the 1980s. Hard line? What? They paint a picture of a facility where doctors sometimes amputated prisoners' limbs due to injuries sustained from constant handcuffing. So they cuff the cuffs too tight, it cuts off circulation, and then they take your hands. Now, you ask me, what's worse, being shot in the head in my own home, or getting put into a fucking chained concentration camp and having my arms fucking cut off? Okay? I would rather get shot dead in my own home. I'm just being honest with you. This is worse than death, what the Israelis are doing here to people that did nothing wrong. Performed by underqualified medics, earning it a reputation for being a paradise for interns. So they're letting medical students practice on Gazans that they're infecting with diseases and, you know, and that they're cutting their pieces off, and they're basically, this is human specimens. This is human experimentation, is what this is. This is like, again, like Joseph Mengele bullshit, right? The Nazi scientists who would experiment on Jewish people. That's what this is. They are doing human fucking experiments, dude. And again, there's still motherfuckers out there that pretend like this is fine. Holy fucking shit. According to the accounts, the facility some 18 miles from the Gaza frontier is split into two parts. Enclosures where about 70 Palestinian detainees from Gaza are placed under extreme physical restraint. And a field hospital where wounded detainees are strapped to their beds wearing diapers and fed through straws. Again, you ask me, if I would rather die during an invasion, a bomb gets dropped on me while I'm sitting in my living room, you know, watching Family Feud, or I get sent to a concentration camp, have my arms cut off, then you fucking have my feet cut off, and then I get strapped to a bed covered in shit and being fed through a straw, probably not even nutritious food, just to see what the body does when you feed them garbage or something, right? You ask me any day, I'd rather get a bomb dropped on me. I'd rather blow up and get vaporized in an instant than get sent to one of these fucking concentration camps. The beatings were not done to gather intelligence. They were done out of revenge, said another whistleblower. It was punishment for what they, the Palestinians, did on October 7th and punishment for the behavior in camp. In the camp. Behavior in the camp. Like crying. Your hands got cut off. And then you get beaten to a pulp and killed because you were crying and you weren't behaving properly? This, you know, I don't want to make kind of like, I'm going to, you know, this is the kind of shit they do in schools, you know, in the United States and stuff. Where it's like, if you don't behave properly, you get punished. And what is behaving properly? Like, I used to get punished. I got detention once. I was held after school once because I would not write properly. Like, properly. Whatever, right? They held me after school and did, like, mandatory, like, writing training for me. What the fuck, right? Yeah, so I got punished. Like, so I'm not trying to, you know, make a... You know, don't overblow that one. But again, that abusive mindset of like, you put someone in a position where they can't do, they can't flourish. And then because you put them in that position, you're then going to punish them extra. It's like you cut someone's legs off and then say, go run a marathon. Oh, you didn't run a marathon? You're so immoral. Oh, how dare you? Oh my God. Learn how to behave properly. Insane. Insane. So here you can see the location of this particular camp. And again, a lot of these concentration camps are being filled with, or not with Gazans, but with Palestinians from the West Bank. They don't have Hamas in the West Bank. So, the IDF did not directly deny accounts of people being stripped of their clothing or held in diapers. Instead, the Israeli military said that the detainees are given back their clothing once the IDF has determined that they pose no security risk. So once we cut your hands off, cut your feet off, right, give you every disease known to man, experiment on your body, probably harvest their organs, don't worry, we'll give you your fucking t-shirt back. So anyway, we're fucked. As far as society is concerned, we're on the downtrend. You know that fucking roller coaster at Six Flags that goes up and then goes down and that's the whole thing? Well, we've already hit the top. Now we can argue when we hit the top. You could argue that we hit the top, I don't know, in 1993 when the video game Doom came out. That's probably the peak of human civilization. But now we're on the way down. And unlike the roller coaster at Six Flags, that goes up and then goes down. I forget what it's called. But, you might not even know what I'm talking about. I don't know. There's no brakes at the end. There's no, like, system in place so that we don't crash into the fucking earth. We are crashing down. We are going all the way down. And I personally believe that there is a very good chance. Now, I don't know if it's 50%, but I think that there is a good chance that human extinction will occur in the next 100, 200 years. Now, I think it's much more likely that we're not going to see human extinction, but we will see a complete collapse of society over time, to the point where we're living in caves, but instead of caves, they're like hollowed out skyscrapers, you know, stuff like that. I think that that's possible, unless we turn the ship around. But I don't think that that's going to happen. I really don't. If we can't put an end to a genocide, we can't do anything. If we can't stop a pandemic, we can't do anything. So I don't know, man. I am 27. I'm going to be 28 in 2 weeks. But again, if you're like 80 years old and you're watching my show, you know what? You lived a life. I mean, you might not have been a great life, but you lived a life. You know what I mean? So hats off to you. But like, I see this as a young person who wants to live a long and healthy life. I want to live a long life. I want to live at least over 100 years old. Now you can say that I'm crazy or whatever. Whatever. You know, I'm 27 in the year where we're studying, you know, that's the other thing, is technology is pretty insane right now. Everything else, irrespective, technology is booming at a really insane way. So we have the study of longevity science, stuff like that. I personally believe that as a 27-year-old, the only way that I would not be able to live long enough to have access to this stuff is that if I die in a car accident, get COVID and die early, or I just don't have enough money because it's exclusive for rich people or something. And if you know what, that happens, you know what? At least I made it to the gate. The gate might not have opened. At least I made it to the fucking gate, okay? But my point is, right, we are at the cusp of a technological revolution that could create people that are immortals. There's the quote that I don't know who quoted it, but it's a pretty good one. I'm paraphrasing. That it's like, the first person to live over 250 years old is already alive today. You know, obviously they're not 250 yet, but they were already born. The first person to hit the age of 250 is already alive on this planet right now. You know, so you can attribute that wherever. And so with all that being said, you could say maybe I'm a little cuckoo. That's possible. But I personally at least want to live to like 60, maybe 70, you know, at least, at the very least. And even that is not looking too likely at the rate that society is going. So I'm scared. This shit scares me. It does. And my job is to scare you, I guess. That's my job in this instance. I've appointed myself to the position of chief fearmonger, because fear is really the only good motivator to do anything. If you're scared of something, you're going to be motivated to change it. I think. I don't know. You might be motivated to run the fuck away. I don't know. Look at society. You may have heard psychological groupings. You know, when you're faced with a threat, there's fight, flight. Those are the popular ones. But there's two other ones that people should know about. Freeze and fawn. So you got fight. You know, let's say a bear jumps out at you in the woods. You can fight the bear and lose. You can flight. You can run from the bear and maybe survive or maybe get caught. You can freeze, do nothing because you're fucking so goddamn scared, or fawn and try to, you know, like, hi, little bear. Oh, you're a little, you know, you're a good boy. You want a pet? And then get your arm bit off, right? Those are the four main ways that people react to threats, right? And as we can see, society so far has taken the fawn response. May I suck your dick, sir, for ending the pandemic, even though the virus is still here. May I suck your dick, sir, for this genocide in Gaza. Oh, so brave, sir. May I suck your dick, sir. That's what people say to the government. Oh, the roller rink is open during an airborne plague. Thank you, sir. May I suck your dick, sir, for giving me COVID-19 over and over again. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. May I have another load, sir? That's what people are saying to Joe Biden. He didn't cure the pandemic. We don't even have a cure for COVID. We don't have a vaccine that actually functions. We don't have any treatments or cures for long COVID. And everyone's like, yes, Joe Biden, please, may I consume another 15 loads. So we are currently in a society right now that is going all in on the fawn response. We're not fighting our oppressors. We're certainly not running from our oppressors. We're certainly not freezing, but we're fawning over our oppressors. Stockholm Syndrome, pretty much. So anyway, I don't know. That's my show for today. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Yeah, I don't know. I like doing this show. I think it's fun. So I'm not going to stop anytime soon. Though, again, I will say it's possible I'm not going to be here next week. I'm taking it easy this month. This is my birth month. You know, a lot of people, they have birthdays. I have a whole birth month. And I want to take it easy this month. You know, still got 2 weeks or so left. But I might make it to 28. You know? It's possible. You know? So that's my goal. I'm going to try to make it there. We'll see, though. But anyway, thank you for watching. And see ya!